What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. On today's video, I'm excited to bring you this video because this video is about 361 Degrees' newest release. It's the Eleos. And if you've never run a 361 degree shoe before, I think the Eleos is one that you need to try. And just I'll put my predictions out there before we actually get started. I think this is going to make 361 Degrees a lot more popular. Let's get into it. Alright guys, you know the deal with disclosures. 361 Degrees was good enough to send me this shoe for the purpose of review. However, they haven't told me what to say. They don't have any editorial privileges, and all the thoughts and opinions are my own. Now, 361 Degrees Eleos is a daily trainer. And I know sometimes it's hard to get excited about a daily trainer. They're generally not as exciting as, say, race day shoes. But still, the daily trainer is a shoe that we wear the most often. So you want them to be comfortable. You want them to be as exciting as they can be. And that, I think, is where the Eleos kind of stands out. Oh, let me tell you the price. The 361 Degrees Eleos will only cost you $145. So I'm really happy to see that 361 Degrees has kept this on the lower end of the price points. Now, obviously, I would never complain if a shoe was less expensive, but for $145, I think the Eleos fits right in there with the competition. And in some cases, with some comparables, it's actually quite substantially cheaper. So the Eleos has 36 in the heel, 30 in the forefoot for a 6mm drop. I think that on its own is going to make a lot of people happy. You know, a lot of the times daily trainers have these really big drops. So 6mm is very comfortable. Guess it all comes down to preference, doesn't it? But I like a 6mm drop. 361 Degrees claims that in a US men's size 9, the Eleos will tip to scale at 9.9 ounces or 281 grams. However, in my size, a US men's size 13, it's a little heavier, tips to scale at 11.3 ounces or 321 grams. Now, 361 Degrees does compare the Eleos to some other shoes out there. They say that it's similar to the Hoka Clifton. In my size, the Hoka Clifton 9 weighs 299 grams. Remember, 321 grams in my size. So the Clifton 9 is quite a bit lighter. Also, the Brooks Ghost Max, in my size, that weighs in at 347 grams. So the Eleos is quite a bit lighter than that. Also, the gel-nimbus 26, which weighs in at 323 grams. So this is 2 grams lighter. And finally, when I took the shoe out for a run, I thought the midsole reminded me of the feel of Mizuno's Energy Next foam in the Neo Vista. Now, to be clear, this is not comparable to the Neo Vista. The Neo Vista has 8 more millimeters of stack height in the heel, and it does have a plate. But if you like that Energy Next foam, you're going to like the foam in the Eleos. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's start at the top and work our way down. And I'm going to hold this up, and you can see we have a good amount of padding around the heel collar. I think this is right in line with like a premium daily trainer amount of padding, except the padding doesn't go all the way down to the base. It's like a very big bolster. So we've got a lot of padding towards the top, and then when we get towards the bottom, it tapers in a bit, leaving a little bit of room for the heel to spread out. And I did get a good heel lockdown in the Eleos. Good amount of padding, nice comfortable step-in feel, no complaints there. The heel counter is semi-rigid. Now, usually these daily trainers, it is a rock-solid heel counter, and this is just a little flexible. I don't think it's flexible enough for anyone to get heel slip. Like, it's still very difficult for me to press it down, but it does have a little bit of give. The upper that the Eleos is using is a breathable yarn, uses 25% recycled material, so that's always good. I did find the upper on the Eleos to be fairly breathable, certainly not the warmest upper, but also not the most breathable. Now just remember, I am testing this shoe in Florida in the summertime, so in the shoe's defense, it's going to be very difficult for it to keep my feet cool. But I found that especially with some of the competition, the upper on the Eleos is quite a bit more breathable. As far as overlays go, there really aren't any. On the lateral side, we have the 361 degree logo, same on the medial side, a couple of little overlays right on the back, just little swooshes. We have some reinforcement coming along the eyelet chain just to make that a little more secure. And then we have a semi-rigid underlay just around the toe bumper, just helping keep that upper off your toes. Now, while we're talking about the upper, let me just hold that up so you can see how wide it is. It is quite a wide shoe, and it definitely fits true to size. The Eleos fits me the same as other 361 degree shoes and the same as most other brands. However, and I think this is going to be a good thing for a lot wider segment of the population, even though this shoe did fit me true to size, it felt like I had enough room to grow. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I didn't cinch it down all the way, it feels like that if I had wider feet, the Eleos would still be comfortable for me. Now, I do want to point out that I didn't have any issues running in it, but there was enough volume in this upper to accommodate wider feet than me. The tongue is medium in thickness, which I like to see. It's not some crazy padded tongue. It's got just the right amount. And what I also liked about the tongue was that it's fairly rigid. Now, rigid is the wrong word. That's going to make you think like it's a piece of cardboard. It's not. It's a soft piece of material. It's just more rigid than other tongues that I felt. Like, the tongue on the Eleos isn't going to be flopping around, and that's a good thing. It holds its shape, so when I put my foot in, there's absolutely no bunching of the sides. There is a lace loop right here in the middle, and the tongue is gusseted on both sides. The laces on the Eleos, they are a tubular lace, which I think is fine. They didn't come untied at all, which is really the only thing I want from laces. And I think these laces fit the aesthetic of this being a daily trainer. Now, while I mention aesthetics, I think that is another positive for the Eleos. In fact, I think it's a fairly good looking shoe. Now, I've got to admit, it is probably due to this bright orange midsole. I think that just makes it pop. And of course, these colorful midsoles aren't something we're seeing on a lot of shoes. But if I do compare this to the last daily trainer I've tested from 361 Degrees, the Centauri, I just think it looks so much better. I thought the Centauri was just a little bland, and the Eleos is definitely a little more exciting. It would be great if they came out with some other colors here for the midsole. Anyway, now we're down to the midsole. This is like the biggest thing about the Eleos because 361 Degrees has introduced a brand new foam. They're calling it Primo, and it's an EVA PIBA blend. And when I first took these shoes out of the box, I was pressing it on the bottom and I thought, whoa, that is really soft. I'm just betting this is going to be a super spongy ride, and spongy not in a good way, you know, just like so soft that it zaps your energy. So you better believe when I put my foot into the shoe and took it for a run, I was pleasantly surprised. But hold on, we'll get to ride in just a second. Let me just show you the outsole. It's got some good coverage up here on the forefoot, quite a bit of rubber in these strategic places, especially the lateral heel. Now my lateral heel area is looking really good. 361 Degrees is using their high abrasion rubber, and it looks like it's doing its job. I'm seeing a little bit of scuffing, but really there's hardly any wear. That's pretty good. Now notice all this exposed midsole Primo foam. 361 Degrees is obviously saving a lot of weight by not making this full coverage. And while I would always like to see a shoe be a little lighter, the shoe rides very nice. And I think that is a combination of the new midsole foam and the geometry. We can see we've got a nice heel bevel here on the back, solid toe spring here on the front. And I found that this shoe transitions well from heel to toe when I'm running. Okay, so the ride. This shoe was extremely pleasant to run in. Now I do favor softer shoes. At least I tell myself I favor softer shoes. And I found this to be right in the Goldilocks zone of soft and comfortable, but not too soft that, as I said, it kind of zaps your power, zaps your energy when you're running. You know what I mean? And yes, this shoe is a daily trainer. It's going to work best for those recovery, those easy runs. But I found this Primo foam to be surprisingly responsive. And when it did come time to pick up the pace for strides, I was able to get my feet turning over without any issue whatsoever. Now, I didn't take this shoe out for specific workouts like a tempo run or intervals, but that isn't what this shoe is made for. After running in it though, I am hoping to see how 361 Degrees can tweak this Primo foam a little, maybe put it into a race day shoe, because the foam is surprisingly good. The Primo foam is what makes this shoe. Up until this point, I have run in a lot of 361 Degree running shoes. They've always had a super solid build quality, but the Eleos has been my favorite ride so far, and that's even considering their race day shoes. This is very pleasing underfoot, and because, let me hold this up again, you see how wide this platform is? I think it's going to work for a lot of people. So say it is a neutral running shoe, but let's say you need a little bit of stability. This wide base is going to provide a little inherent stability. I think it's a little wider than some of 361 Degrees other running shoes, so again it's going to open it up for people that have maybe slightly wider feet. And the very best part is the comfort. This shoe is a treat to run in. Oh, while I'm looking at it, okay, look at this. You see this? You see this heel flare on the back? We can see we've got some heel flare on the forefoot right here. Again, that's a product of that super wide base. When I took this out of the box and I saw this, I really thought this was going to be a clunky ride. I was like, man, it's going to be hard to get around that heel. And to be honest, I didn't experience any clunkiness whatsoever. Yeah, there is a lot of material back here, but for me at least, it didn't impede any part of my running. I can't say that about all daily trainers that I run in. So if you are looking for a daily trainer, something that's super comfortable, I think the 361 Degrees Eleos is definitely worth a look. And for people that ask me for a recommendation, like what daily trainer would work well for me, this is going to be one that I'm recommending, at least until they come out with something better. So guys, I want to hear from you. Have you ever run in a 361 Degree shoe? If you have, what's been your favorite model? Drop a comment and let me know. So for now, it's Matt B. This has been my review of the 361 Degrees Eleos. Be kind, be happy, run well. I'll see you in a couple of days.